Well, certainly it has been a tough year for us in terms of all of the safety stoppages I've put in place, rehabilitation of the assets that were allowed to deteriorate over the last 5 years. And so it was a tale of two halves, really. The first half tough, as I said it would be, but the second half a strong recovery. And I'm pleased that we met our guidance and we showed 3 quarters now in a row of growth in production from the low base of the first quarter.
So the momentum's building, but the year as a whole, even to you, must be disappointing.
Well, if I look back at what we've achieved over the year compared to what I wanted to achieve, I'm very, very pleased with what we've done. Because you have to remember, if we go back a year, Goldfields had a terrible safety record. We had 47 fatalities in 2008. We had infrastructure that hadn't been properly maintained for years, and we had to fix all of that. We even had to shut down one of our main shafts at Kloof for 6 months that hoisted 40% of its gold. And as you know, Kloof is one of the richest mines in South Africa. So we had to fix all of those things. We had to deliver our projects, get those projects completed in Cerro Corona in Peru, Tarkwa in Ghana. We did all of that. We've brought those projects to full production. You know, so if I look back over the year, I'm pleased with what we've done compared to the situation we were in.
Why did the maintenance fall off in the last 5 years?
Look, I think a lot of it's due to the low gold price, and certain critical expenditure got deferred, and that was a mistake, certainly. And
But you guys went and bought South Deep in the period, so it wasn't like you didn't have any money.
No, we had the money to do it, but I guess it's a question of priorities. And you know, when I took over as CEO, I then found out the magnitude of this maintenance backlog, and it was critical that the new team in place had to fix this, and we have. So I'm pleased that we've got this up to date. We can never let this deteriorate again and get to that point. But if I look at the dividend for the year as a whole, we have to remember that Goldfields is the only company that pays dividends of substance. And that might be surprising to you, but if you look at the North Americans, they don't really pay dividends. And even in the local market, you know, Harmony has not paid a dividend for many years. And if you look at our final dividend compared to Anglo Gold's, it's substantially higher. So we are the one company that does pay dividends. Now, the capital we've had to spend over the year in getting Cerro Corona to full production, getting Tarkwa in, and also starting that expenditure on South Deep, getting that to full production, is taken account of in our final dividend. And also I'm conscious of the fact that going into 2010, we have to spend more money to get South Deep along the curve. If we don't spend that money on South Deep, we'll never realize the potential of what is truly a tremendous ore body.
Nick, with a gold mining operation, though, investors do like to see cash flow, or certainly they used to like to see cash flow. Now the share price of, and it's not your fault that the share price is so high, but it's a dividend of only 1%. It's an earnings yield of only 4%. Isn't this a good time to go out there, raise more capital, retire the 6 billion rands worth of debt that you still have, and more for those projects into the future?
Well, certainly, if one looks at our share price compared to the rest of the sector, on a relative basis, I still believe we're undervalued compared to the rest of the sector. And
but shouldn't you be comparing it to those kind of ratios? Dividend yield of 1%. Wow, that's, David, I think there are any number of industrial companies that would love to be in that position.
1% dividend yield.
Even SAB Miller, whoever, you just name them. Shouldn't you be looking at that from a, sure, it might be undervalued relative to other gold shares, but relative to the market as a whole?
No, Alec, I think the better strategy for us is to ensure that we continue to grow the production profile, sweat the assets. We have tremendous ore bodies. You know, the one thing that Goldfields does have, and maybe that's why it's rated the way it is, we have tremendous ore bodies that will go for many, many years in this country, long after the other mines have closed down. We have South Deep, which will be a truly wonderful mechanized mine. The best strategy for us is to make sure we can continue sweating the assets and make sure that the assets perform to their potential.
So you've got lots of reserves here in South Africa, but interesting to see that your exploration expenditure is being spent in Peru, and you're going to have to pronounce the name of this country, Kyrgyzstan, is it?
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan. That's not where Borat comes from. I think he's next door. Kazakhstan.
Correct.
Is it close by?
It is. It's right next to it. And the interesting thing about that part of the world, it has what we call the Tian Shan Belt, which is a large anomaly of potential gold deposits that extend from Eastern Europe through Central Asia into China. fact, I was there 2 months ago, and I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw. And the potential there is significant. The potential for large ore bodies exists. There's Oyu Tolgoi, that's 50 million ounces. Kumtor, that's probably 20 million ounces.
And unexplored?
Largely unexplored. And this is what I call new frontiers. And one of the things Goldfields is going to do, if it's going to stand out from the rest of the pack, is go into new frontiers and not just follow the herd in the rest of the world.
What are they called, the people from that country? Kyrgyz.
Kyrgyz.
Uh-huh.
Kyrgyz.
Okay. Well, I suppose it made a lot of sense. You did say that looking to the next year, you're going to be focusing on safety. It's still 21 fatalities this year. It is down from 47 in the previous financial year. Have you got a target? Is it possible to put a target?
Oh, yes. In fact, I want to improve by at least another 35 to 40% next year, and all of our targets are internally set to do that. And, you know, if you look at it, we've cut out a lot of the silly accidents, and in particular, fall of ground accidents from gravity. We've sizably reduced. Seismicity is the one area that we're spending a lot of time on.
Seismicity meaning?
Well, general rock bursts that we have underground from
Kind of earthquakes.
Energy release rates as you mine the ore body. We've done a lot of work on that. I'm sure that we can improve, and I look forward to us reporting a similar improvement for next year.
And the production for the year as a whole slightly down by 6%, but it was getting better towards the end of the 12-month period.
You've got to look at it as a year of two halves. The first half of the year, you know, fixing a lot of the issues that the new team inherited, and getting the new projects into production, and the second half delivering on those projects, and now creating a platform for a much better 2010.
Nick, we've been talking with the bankers this week, first Maria Ramos and then Mike Brown, about their write-offs. We'd expect that from bankers because they lend out money. You've had a massive write-off, though, as well in this period of 1.1 billion on an operation called Rosoro. Give us the background.
Rosoro is the company that bought our Venezuelan assets that we owned a couple of years back, and we sold those assets for a combination of cash and shares. We got a sizable cash component, but with Venezuela being what it is today, the political discount in that country is huge. And despite the fact that they've got some tremendous ore bodies and they've got a good growth profile, we deemed it prudent to write the investment down to its market value. I don't believe that's...
So the share price of Rosoro has actually fallen?
It hasn't fallen, it's remained low. You know, last year we didn't take the impairment because it was fairly early on after the transaction. But given a sustained period of weakness, we decided we needed to make the impairment. We believe that the inherent value of that operation is significantly higher, and I'm sure that in time the potential will be realized.
In time, and a post-Chavez, perhaps, society?
Probably.
But you did do well by selling when you sold.
Well, we did, because we did get in almost $200 million in cash. So we did recoup a sizable portion of our initial purchase of those assets, and then we took the shares, which is an option on the upside. And over time, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So it's a long-term option on Venezuela. I don't think we should get too fixated about a book entry right down here. We could well get the value back in time.
Nick Holland is the Chief Executive of Goldfields.